Well, hello, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're calling in from. Happy July, and I want to welcome you to the Finance of America Wholesale How to Market to Self-Employed Borrowers using the FAM 2X Flex Self-Employed Bank Statement Program. This is a very exciting program and can offer a lot of solutions for your borrowers who are self-employed. So as you're getting logged in, I'm going to go through a couple of housekeeping items for you and let you know that you can listen two different ways. You can either listen on your computer or you can call in to the phone number that's listed on your email. And we do have everyone muted today. This has been a very popular webinar, so we do have a lot of people on, and we want to make sure that we can answer questions for you. So as we're going along today, if you have any questions at all, type them in either the chat box or the Q&A box. So two different options for you, depending on what's easier for you to get onto on your computer. Also to let you know, we are recording this, and I'll send out a copy of the recording tomorrow in an email. So if you have people that said, I registered, I couldn't get on, I had something come up, and that happens, we always record all of our webinars, so you can always get a recording of that. And I do have handouts for you. So in addition to the slide deck that we have here, I also have for you a couple of different things. I've got the slide deck, and I also have a edu marketing guide that I've created for you to be able to go through the steps of what I'm going through. So you can grab that. I just posted it onto the chat box. They are in links, so you can click it. It'll download onto your computer, and you can get a copy of that. And we also have webinars coming up this month. Lots of great things happening. Next Thursday, it seems to be a Thursday month. So Thursday, July 18th, we have Love Your Home with a Rental Loan. So again, some opportunities for you to be able to think about some of the things we're talking about today that you can hop on over and use the Finance of America renovation loan product, which is awesome. And then Thursday, July 25th, I'm going to be going through rental loan home options for your investors. So we have your self-employed, we have your renovation, and we have your investors. And that's going to be a very exciting program as well. So ways to be able to think about standing out. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. And before I move on, let's just do a quick little sound check. And if you all can just sign in, put something in the chat box, put something in the Q&A box, let me know that you can hear me. And that way I can continue on and I'm not having a conversation with myself. I see some of you raising your hands, which is great. Say hello, love it. If you do have questions, so do make sure that you type them in the Q&A box or in the chat box. And so as we're getting started, how many of you have self-employed borrowers that you know of or want to be able to talk about this program with your partners? Because that's really what we're talking about today, is how to be able to take a program like this with Finance of America and to create content to be able to go out and position yourself as the expert. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ginger Bell. I'm an education specialist in the mortgage industry. I've been doing education in the industry for about 20 years. In the mortgage industry, prior to getting into the mortgage industry, I was also a corporate trainer at Dale Carnegie Training. He wrote the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you have teenagers, I highly recommend it. It's one of the best books for them to be able to read to get a good understanding on how to have relationships with people, which is so important. I know it's what you do each and every day, and it's what I've been able to do in my business. And have had the opportunity to speak on stage with some pretty cool people, including Gary Vaynerchuk. If you follow him, I was speaking at his event in January this year. And a lot of what I'm talking about is really what Gary V preaches, is to be able to position yourself, find your expertise, talk about what you do. And so that's what we're going to go through today. And this is important because, and I'm a stats girl, so I absolutely love statistics. So This is interesting as far as how consumers are finding their lender. And this is out of a survey that was done just last year by Ellie Mae. I'm going to actually reference a couple of different stats out of this. And you have access to this information. It's on the slide deck. I'm going to post it again in the chat box real quick, just for a second. So you can grab it if you hopped on after I'd already posted it. But it's really interesting. The top two factors for owners when choosing a lender included knowing the company or receiving a referral from a trusted source. And this is specifically important because millennials were most likely to choose a lender because they knew of the company from a trusted source. It was actually 38% of the survey, while 49% of boomers said that they choose their lender based on a realtor or acquaintance referral. And so it's so important today to be able to educate your real estate partners, to educate your existing customers, because that's a trusted source. So to let them know some of the things that you're doing, even like attending this webinar, it's a great thing. Hey, I just, make a phone call. If you have somebody that's self-employed, say, I was just on a fantastic webinar on a great new self-employed bank statement program. And so I wanted to talk to you about where you're at. Rates are great. I hate talking about rates, but it's one of those things. It's a good reason to call. And, what's your plans? Are you expanding your business? Is there something we can do? And maybe even talking about some of the things, the groups that they belong to, because if you are, have customers that are entrepreneurs, guess what? They know other entrepreneurs. And so maybe they belong to a networking group or a focus group or, the chamber or something like that. So, just those opportunities to let people know what you're doing to improve yourself is another great leverage. So what do consumers want to know about? And again, so this survey that Ellie Mae did, through it, consumers indicated that there's opportunity for greater education for consumers around a couple of different things. One is they wanted more education around loan type options. So again, exactly what we're talking about today, options for self-employed borrowers. Next week we've got the webinar on renovation home loan products, and then getting into your investors. So that's what they want to know about. They want to know what the options are. And interestingly enough, more than 45%, actually it was about 50% of the respondents that were age 45 and over say that they believed that they needed to put 20% or more to purchase a home. And 50% of 18 to 24-year-olds respondents and said they needed to put down between 4 and 19. So a lot of difference there as far as what people think that they need to put down. Almost 50% think that they need 20% for a down payment. And let me know if you're seeing that, as you're talking to people, if you're, talking to millennials or doing marketing to millennials, are you really seeing that? Because I'm definitely seeing that. The conversations that I'm having with millennials specifically is, first of all, they don't know how much they need down. They don't know what the programs are. They also have student loan debt, and some of them are looking to get married and have children. And honestly, I had a conversation a couple weeks ago with a millennial who just got into the mortgage industry on the marketing side, and she goes, I don't even know where to start. And so being able to put that information out there and educate them on some of the programs that are available is a great way to be able to start that education process. Interestingly enough, this same survey revealed that 33.9% of the renters that they surveyed, so these were for renters, think that they need a 700 to a 749 credit score to qualify for a mortgage loan. Almost 34%. And 31% of those polled think that they need a 750 to a 799 credit score to qualify for a mortgage loan. So a lot of our renters out there may be qualified for a mortgage and they don't even know that. So here's some opportunities to be able to go out and to create some education around that. So interestingly enough, according to some research that was conducted by accounting software company, which is called FreshBooks, that almost half of the 27 million people who become independent workers, so self-employed entrepreneurs, within the next 2 years will come from the millennial market. And so this is a huge change in our workforce. And they're also projecting that the number of Americans who work for themselves to reach 42 million by 2020. And so honestly, some of the data that I've even seen suggests that over the next 2 years, the number of self-employed professionals in the U.S. could triple. There's a lot of reasons for that, and the internet is definitely one of those. YouTube, being able to sell things online, being able to have access to credit, cloud sourcing, all of those kind of things that are new to be able to help entrepreneurs are available. And so we're seeing a huge shift of a lot of individuals, especially in our millennial market, that they want to become entrepreneurs. And so what a great program to be able to offer this to them. But it's not just entrepreneurs. So this is a NAR homebuyer and seller generational trends report from this one was from last year, but they have some other information in here I pulled as well. And so there's categories, just in case you don't know, these are the years: millennials 80 to 98, our Gen Xers 65 to 79, our younger boomers, which is where I fall, 55 to 64, and then our older boomers, and what's the silent generation. So that's what makes up our entire market share. So when you're thinking about developing content, you want to think about the conversations you're having with each of these generations, because it's going to be a little bit different. The average buyer age for buying a home is 44 years, and millennials do make up the largest group of first-time home buyers. We know that, 66%. And that's followed by our Gen X, which is 26%. So very large opportunity here to be able to create some first-time homebuyer programs and to be able to have those conversations and to let people know about the things that are going on. So how do you do that? You need to create a consumer education plan. You know, it's funny, I actually just pulled some information for another presentation I was working on, and when you go and search on Google for a mortgage and you just put in, qualifying for a home loan mortgage, there are a staggering number. I think it's 576 million results that come up. What's number one are the ads. What's number two are anyone that talks about content. So anyone that's putting content out there, answering questions, being able to provide information, writing blogs, doing videos, things like that. The second search I did is how much do you need for a down payment, or how much do you need to save? Over 2 trillion. 2 trillion. I mean, I can't even get my head wrapped around that. Results came up. But here's what I can tell you. Not one of those results was a video. All of them was just either from ads, which are bigger players, the Quicken and the Rocket Mortgage and Lone Tree and all that other stuff. And then underneath that was just, again, anyone that's writing about education that has words in there that relate to how much you need for a down payment, how do you save money for a down payment, those kind of things. So if you're not doing this, there's huge opportunities for it, because video really ranks very high in Google and obviously YouTube, because Google owns YouTube, and YouTube is the other search vehicle besides Google that people use. And there's nothing coming up when you do those two primary searches that people are searching for. Nothing's coming up on video. So huge opportunity here for you guys to go out and really to get some good ranking when people are searching. What's important to understand is, what's the process? This is what I do. I'm an education specialist. So I develop training programs. I write articles. I write books. I mean, this is what I do day in and day out. And about a year ago, I did a presentation at NAM kind of talking about this process. And I had several originators, brokers specifically, come up and say, can you teach me how to do this? And so I said, I think so. So that's what I've done. So one of the things that's in there is the guide, and that's going to go through the steps. So honestly, if you just take that and print off that guide and fill it out, you're going to get a really good start for what you need. And so we're going to go through this creation process today. And obviously, we only have a limited amount of time here, but this is something that you can do as you go through in developing your content. The reason it's important, because it works. So as I shared, I had the opportunity to speak at Gary's event in January. They called and asked me to come and speak, and we talked about content strategy. And Gary is the bomb for content strategy. He's constantly out there. He's doing videos. He's writing articles. He's bringing in other people. He's doing podcasts. He's always talking about things. But he says there's two ways to attack content. The first way is to produce it, which is what we're talking about today. And the second is to engage with it. And so that's the thing as you're going through and creating content, and what you're doing with that is to think about not just what you're producing, but how are you engaging with it? If you create a video and you post it onto Facebook, or you post it onto Instagram, or you post it onto YouTube, then make sure you're interacting and following up with people, or people are making comments. Do that. There's all kinds of things you can do on social media. You can start a group. You can start a first-time homebuyer group. You can start a self-employed borrower group. There's all kinds of ways for you to be able to create that engagement and to be able to just provide some short information and to create it over a period of time. And we're going to talk about that. The first step, however, is to identify your customer. And when I go through this in a workshop, and I've done that with clients, where you go through who's your workshop, who is your customer. We go through this in the workshop. Who's your customer, and then who's your customer segments. So I'm going to post the handouts here because I'm seeing somebody that doesn't see them. If you jumped in late, that's okay. The handout's on the chat box, so you can grab those two handouts, my quick start guide and then the slide deck that I'm going through. So for the purpose of this, we're not going to get into identifying your customer segments. You'll see that in the handout that I go to because, for us in our industry, we have a lot of different customer segments. So we have our, first-time home buyers. We have second home buyers. We have investment property buyers. That's why we do a lot of different webinars on a lot of different products, because face it, we have a lot of different products available, but you also have a lot of different customer segments. So for the purpose of this webinar, we are going to only focus on what we're talking about today, and that is our self-employed borrower. So you have two different types of customer segments in this. And I think it's important because when you're developing content, you're going to have a different conversation. You're going to develop different content. It can be some of the base, but you're going to tweak it a little bit for the conversations that you're having with your self-employed borrowers who want to purchase a home. Versus your self-employed borrower that wants to refinance a home. And so when you're thinking about the content that you're producing, you want to think about who is your audience and the conversation that you're going to have and how you're going to lay that out. The next thing you want to do is, once you've identified your customer and your customer segments, is you want to identify your product offering. And so, if you're going through someone who's buying a home that's a fixer-upper, you're going to talk about that. If you're talking about investment properties, you're going to talk about, do they want to buy a rental home? Do they want to do a fix and flip? Those are the kind of things when you get into your product offerings that you want to think about. In this webinar, we're talking about the Finance of America 2X Flex program. So this is an awesome program. I'm super excited about it because it allows your self-employed borrowers to qualify off of their deposits rather off of their bottom line on taxes. And gosh, we know for a long, long time in our industry, it's been really, really hard for our self-employed borrowers because they write everything off. I know I'm self-employed, so I try to write off as much as I can. And so with this program, you can qualify using either 12 months or 24 months. And get this, guys, it's either personal or business bank statements. So that's what's really cool about this program. And I'm not going to get into all the guidelines. We've done some webinars on them in the past. I'll actually include the recordings to our previous two webinars we've done on this. So if you didn't catch those, you can hop on those. But what 2Flex allows is for your borrowers to qualify off of their deposits rather than their bottom line. So quote unquote, a self-employed borrower is defined as a borrower who owns more than 25% of the business. That's the first thing. And they can qualify in two different ways. They can use 12 or 24 months of bank statements, and they can use their personal or their business bank statements. And like I said, I'm not going to get into all the qualification on this. The idea of this webinar is to show you how to go out and market it. But just to get you thinking how this program can help your borrowers, and these are topics that you can have. No tax returns required. Hello, that's big. They can also qualify with co-borrower income. So if you have someone that is self-employed, but then there's also co-borrower income, they can qualify off of that. And get this, they can own multiple businesses. And that is a growing trend as well, because especially in our millennial market, they may have a partnership with a friend in a YouTube channel. They may have a partnership with a social media company that they're doing some of these. I have a contractor that does video editing, and it's a part-time business for him. So, it's an opportunity for them to be able to own multiple businesses. It's not just one. They do have to have 25% ownership. But what it does, it's a solution for your borrowers who don't show enough net income on their tax returns due to their write-offs, but they make enough money to support the new mortgage payment. And so with this program, it allows them to qualify on the bank statement deposits from the personal or the business accounts. And again, great for a borrower who has a two-income family, because that allows you to use the self-employed borrower's bank statements as well as the co-borrower or the wage earner for other income to qualify. So the advantage of having those multiple businesses, someone that has a co-borrower that's self-employed, great program for that. And they can have up to 3 businesses, and they can use the income from each. So again, this is a message that you can create. This is a phone call you can make to your real estate agent and let them know, hey, I was just on a webinar. I found out about a great loan program for self-employed borrowers. They can own up to 3 businesses. Do you know anyone like that? Love to be able to talk with you about it. So, some things to think about, but let's move on to step 3. So we've identified our customer segment, and our product offering. So now we want to think about what are the kind of questions that these customers are having at night, or with their spouse or with their friend, to be able to buy a home or refinance a home or move up into a different home. And so you want to be able to answer these questions. What problems do you solve, and what questions do you answer? Because it's not just enough to go out and talk about the program. You need to think about where their mind is. What are they searching for online at night to find out if there's a program available? What are the things that are keeping them up at night? Because that's the conversation you want to have with them. That's the content you want to create for them. So if we look at our self-employed borrowers, we want to answer these 2 questions. What problems do you solve? And what questions do you answer? And this is a process that you use through every single customer segment, every single product, all of those kind of things, because that's what they're searching for. So if we look at our answers here and we go through our self-employed borrower, and I've listed this up as an example for you. Problem solved. Provides financing for borrowers who own a full-time business or a part-time business or whatever kind of business, multiple businesses. What is the question that's answered? Can I qualify for a mortgage? Second problem. Provides financing for borrowers who do not have business bank statements, because you can use personal bank statements too. Wow, that's really cool. The question answered, what type of proof do I need for income? Third, problem solved, provides financing for borrowers who own more than one business. And the question answered, can I qualify with my bank statements? Finally, the fourth, and there's a lot more than this, these are just 4 examples, is allows entrepreneurs like millennials to use alternative income. And so question answered, and you go to YouTube, my gosh, there's a million of them, and they earn money. I know, because my son proved it to me when I said you couldn't make money on YouTube, and he did. So the question is answered, can my YouTube channel income help me buy a home? My gosh, guys, just an article on that alone is huge. Just a video on that alone, post it on YouTube. Tag some of the people there. Find the people that are, making money off of their YouTube channels, and, let them know. Friend them on Facebook, find out what groups they're in, get a part of their group if there's YouTuber groups. There's lots of things you can do to get in front of people that are self-employed. So we've identified the customer questions. And so what we want to do is to be able to kind of build that out. And so you want to think about what your prospects and your customers want to learn about. So what questions do they have that you can answer for them? And in the guide that I have, that handout, there's a section in there that you can actually go through this as well. So let's look at that. And we'll go through our self-employed borrower. So that's who our customer is. The customer is our self-employed borrower. What do they want? To buy a home using their business income to qualify. Pretty simple, right? What's your product offering? The FAM Wholesale 2X Flex Bank Statement Program, of course. And what problems it solves for your customer. It gets them into a house using their business or personal bank statements from their business. What are their questions? Can I qualify to buy a home even though I'm self-employed? I have a lot of write-offs from my business, so can I still qualify to buy a home? How much money can we borrow on my income? These are all questions that they're having. These are all answers that you can provide. So once you've gone through this process, now you have an idea of the content you're going to build or the conversation you're going to have. And I truly want you to think about content because, as I said at the beginning of the webinar, staggering results. How much money do I need for a down payment? Over $2 trillion, and there's not one video out there. So this is super simple for you to go out and to be able to create some little videos, some information. And don't be afraid of doing videos. You know, when I first started doing videos, I hated it, and I still hate it. I just don't watch them. Or it's easier for me to watch them now because I've just kind of accepted the fact that, hey, that's what I look like. And so think about that too as you're going through it, some of the things that you need. So we've done that. Now your next step is to identify your delivery channels. And there are a lot of different delivery channels out there. If you look at all the different options for you to put content out there, you can do a blog on your website. You can write articles for your local newspaper, for a community newspaper. You can provide checklists. You can do reports. You can do handouts. There's tons of ways that you can write written content. You can do video content. So you can create personal videos talking about being self-employed yourself. You're a mortgage broker, so you're self-employed. So you can talk about the advantages of being self-employed. You can talk about, how to manage, how to find a good accountant. I mean, there's all kinds of things you could do on video. You could actually start, and I just started a podcast series. It's called Open Mic Podcast. You can find it at the Mortgage List. But one of the things that I've learned through the podcast that I love is I can get people on to interview, and you don't have to develop any content. You just have a conversation. So you could start a podcast, and you could go and do a meeting with business owners in your neighborhood. You want to build a group of entrepreneurs. It's right in your hometown. It's right in your network. You could honestly start a podcast and you could sponsor it. It's free to post it. I use Podbean. And if you guys are interested in learning how to do that, I have my information you can shoot out, and I'm happy to do a webinar. I oversee webinars for Finance of America, and that's something we can definitely do. So if you're interested, let me know. Put in the Q&A, put in the chat. Yes, Ginger, I want to know how to do podcasts. We can definitely add that to the mix and bring that in as well as far as some of the things on how to do that. And you can do Facebook Live. I don't know if anybody's doing Facebook Live right now. Let me know if you are. And again, type in the chat, type in the QA. Let me know if you're doing Facebook Live, if you want to know about doing podcasts. Cartoon videos. If you don't want to be on a video, then there's some great technology out there, which I'm going to share with you, that you can have these cartoon videos made that go through the process. The audio content we talked about, podcast flash briefings. That's one of the things Gary Vee talked about was flash briefings, and you can start a channel on that. And then, of course, your presentations. So your workshops, your conferences, your webinars. You could do a webinar. I've given you the slide deck, so we've got the other slide decks as far as the content going through this program. You could go in and do a workshop at a real estate office. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to be able to do that, but you want to figure out what you're doing for your delivery channel. And then once you've done that, now we're going to write your topics. So step 5 is pulling it all together. So we've gone through the process of identifying our customer segments, finding out what product we're offering, what their questions are, and we've come up with some of those headline and options there. So now we're going to actually create a list of topics. And from that list of topics, we're going to pull content, and we're going to start creating an idea as far as what we're going to pull on. When you go through this process, and again, this is something that I do in my workshops, is go through, okay, what's the entire process? I just want you to go and write down any idea you have as a topic. And you can do that today. Just write it down on a sheet of paper. Don't expand on them. Just simply write each answer down. And then you can save that. I have an Excel spreadsheet. And it has just topic lists. And it may be 2 years before I write something on that, but it's like, oh, that's a great idea. I think I'm going to write something on that. I'm going to do a video on that, or people want to know about that. Especially if you're seeing like a recurring theme of questions, that's a good topic. So if you do this, and if you create a content list, and whether it's in a Word doc, whether you save it in notes, whether you save it in Excel, I suggest saving it some way that you can go back and you can add to it. Because what you'll do is you'll find that you can constantly add to this list over time. And the idea is no matter the question, you have an answer. And if you have an answer, you have a topic. So when determining your topics, you want to consider who you want to read it, who you want to view it, who you want to learn from the topic, and then what action you want them to take. So if we look at our self-employed borrower, here are some ideas for some topics. So you don't even have to pull out that piece of paper. I'm giving it to you. So here's some ideas of some topics to start out with. Find out how you may qualify for a home loan with your business income. Are you looking to qualify to buy a home using your YouTube income? I'd love to see that one. I may just write that one. I think that'd be really cool, and to see what the results are on that. You can buy a home using your part-time business income. Oh, that's not a question. Can you? Want to buy a home but don't think you can afford it? Are all banks telling you that you cannot buy a home using your business income? And trust me, they are, because that's a lot of things. The consumers go to their bank and they tell them what? They tell them no. And guess what? You can tell them yes. So, even like that, you want to get a yes on your, using your business income to qualify for a mortgage. Those are the kind of things you want to think about, because those are the kind of things that people are looking for. I see some of you raising your hands. I'm saying hello back. If you do have a question, though, I don't have the ability to unmute anyone today. So type your question into the Q&A box or the chat box, and then I'll be sure to answer those for you. Step 6. Now we're going to develop our content. So what we're going to do is we've started with our list of topics, and you've brainstormed that. I suggest using Google Calendar. If you're going to put out certain dates, you're going to post your calendar. I recently launched a site called The Mortgage List, and I have Shred Media, who handles our social media for us. And we have a calendar. And on that calendar, we actually have listed out what the topic is for each day of the week, what it's going to be listed on, how we're going to do it, what we need for that, what the conversation is going to be. And so it keeps us organized to be able to do that. And then keeping a spreadsheet, especially if you're using someone in your office or even outside your office. If you're contracting with someone that's going to manage this for you, then you want to be able to organize it. You also want to think about, as you're creating your content, how you can repurpose your existing content. So if you write something, I'm going to show you some ideas on when we get to our developing our deliverables, is just because you've written something once or you've done a video once doesn't mean you can't reuse it for something else. So when you're developing your content, you want to think about, hey, how can I repurpose this content? And you can use a project manager tool like a Trello or Asana. Monday is another one. I've got a couple clients that use that to manage who will do what. And so it doesn't mean you have to do it all. You can engage someone else to be able to do it. You can hire someone else. You can hire a millennial who probably knows more about it than you do. Those are the kind of things that you can do. But you want to make sure to have a plan when you're putting this all together, because you want that consistency that you're creating. Now we're going to develop our deliverables. And so our topic is going to be find out how you may qualify for a home loan with your business income. Our headline, because you want a catchy headline, is 5 things to consider when using your business income to get a mortgage. So that's our headline. We're going to write that. It doesn't have to be long. So your 5 things could be exactly what we talked about today. 5 things to consider. Do you have a lot of write-offs? Do you have more than one business? Are you self-employed and the co-borrower is employed full-time? And put some little points into them. So from this example, we've got a delivery channel of a blog article. So we're going to write an article on 5 things to consider when using your business income to get a mortgage. So we're going to begin by writing an article in Word on those 5 things to consider. Once the article is written, you're going to post it onto your blog. and then you're going to be sure to add your Google search words like investment properties or self-employed borrowers or, buying a home or buying a rental home, whatever it is that you're looking for. You can't use a rental home on this program. But some of the ideas to think about. Once you've written your blog article, now you're going to create a YouTube video. And you just create the video from the article. And so you're going to record the video from the top 5 points in the article. It's only going to be a minute long, so you're not going to get into a lot of the details that you did in the blog article, but you're going to reference back to the article. And then the other thing you can do is you can make a downloadable checklist. So create a checklist of what they need to provide to qualify for a self-employed borrower loan. You can create a downloadable link that goes into your CRM, and then they have to register in order to get that downloadable. And now guess what? You're building your marketing database. So I want you to be smart about what you're doing. I want you to think about, as you're building this, it's to be able to educate and inform, but it's also to be able to build your database. And that's important because, okay, right now rates are good. We know all of that. But guys, we don't have these refi opportunities all the time. We've kind of been blessed with the up and down for the last several years. But you want to think about the things that you need to do to start really positioning yourself and building your database. Also, as you're developing your content, you want to think about create it once and distribute it to many. So you want to be able to share your information. Share it with your previous customers. Share it with your business partners. I am constantly surprised at how many originators do not reach back out, whether it's marketing, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a note, whether it's something, to your database, because they've done business with you once. They liked you enough one time to do business with you. And I know y'all do good jobs. So make sure that you're reaching out to them. And so again, share this information with them. And it can be something as, if you're not self-employed, maybe you know someone that's self-employed. This is a great loan program for them. The top 5 things you need to know about using your business income to qualify for a mortgage. When you're doing videos, and especially as you're going through this process, and for those of you who have used this program, and I know I've gotten emails from several of you, we did the first webinar and I've got several emails saying, my gosh, it has saved someone, truly, truly saved someone. So videotape those testimonials, tape their story. You honestly could create your own HGTV series for self-employed borrowers. You could bring in business owners from your community and sit down and talk about, what are the challenges of being a business owner. You can meet with an accountant and talk about, what are the things that they need to do to be able to have the business that they do. You can use video to market your business. You also want to create brand advocates. So as I said, consider interviewing local business owners, talk about the power of being an entrepreneur. You can feature them in a podcast. You can feature them in a YouTube video. You can also ask them if they belong to different organizations. You can come in and speak at them. Your local chamber is filled with self-employed borrowers. So that's a great place to go and just to say, I want to talk about the benefits of homeownership for self-employed and alternative income. And create a little workshop. Go in. Don't be at a whole thing about everything you can do with this program. Just be about the things that, what kind of income do self-employed people have? And you can do some focus groups on it too. Feature your customers and partners in your blog or newsletter and let them tell their story. So whether it's your entrepreneurs, whether it's previous customers who have gone through this, make sure that you let them tell their story. Create a voice of the customer. Be able to share with them, and then that way they can post it on social media. And I see some questions coming in. I'm going to get through this information and I'll go to the questions. So I want you to know my picks on video. First of all, video is very important. And this is how much I believe in video, guys. I do a lot of video content for my clients. I do a lot of video content for myself. But this year I actually signed up to be a co-producer for a documentary for Folds of Honor, which is a fantastic organization. They provide scholarships for families of wounded and killed service members who are killed in the line of duty. And so millions of dollars they've given away. I did this because I wanted to learn the process. I wanted to be involved in the process and get into video a little more because it's one of those things. Everybody needs to do video. You need to have what they call a quote unquote hero video that talks about you, what you do, the problems you solve, how you do that for your customers, because that's what people are looking for. Millennials make their decision off of video. They search, they shop off of video. So if you want to continue in this business, you have got to get into video and you got to figure out how to do that. And I know that's important, and that's why I did that. The movie will be premiered in September, and it's actually been submitted for some Emmys. So hoping we're going to win an Emmy with it. But it's a great organization, and it gave me an opportunity to win, to learn off of Folds of Honor. And you can too, because video is everything. Everything you're seeing out there is video marketing. I actually just recently talked to someone that's doing some contracting for me on taking video and putting the words that crawl underneath the video, because a lot of times you may be watching a video on YouTube, but you're at Starbucks or you're at the airport, and so you can't listen to it unless you put earpods in. And so having the scrolling words on there has gotten to be really important now too. So I have someone that is going to start doing that for me. Those are the kind of things that you want to look at. Video is taking over everything. And the reason why is because people retain 95% of a message when they watch it on video, compared to 10% when reading it in a text. And videos are shared an incredible amount of time. This is stats off of Facebook, so I don't know if it's really true or not, but it's what people share. People share videos, so you want to be able to do that. And when you're putting together your video, you want to think about the story. And statistically, millennials, if a video is too pitchy and it's too salesy, they won't watch it. So you want to tell a story. You want to be able to talk about what's the pain. How do you solve the pain? The stories, and in order for a story to be a good story, it needs attention and it needs conflict. And a good story then solves these. So you want to think about, when you're creating your video, what's your stories? There's some great tools you can use. Very simple to use. Camtasia Studio. You don't have to have Apple products. I've taught so many people how to use this, and it's not difficult at all. Powtoons, that's the animated that I was talking about. If you don't want to do a video, you can create a video in Powtoons. And so you just write your script, get someone to do the audio, or you can do the audio and record that, and then be able to make those. So my recommended software for video is Camtasia for your video editing. It's very PC friendly. It's very simple to use. BombBomb video email is huge. And again, it's a great way for you to create a quick little video and send it out to one person, 20 people, 100 people, whatever. And then your Powtoons for your animated video. And then, of course, remember, we are here to help. There's some absolutely fantastic account executives at Finance of America who can answer questions for you. And I'm seeing a few questions come in as far as specifics to the loan program of the 2X Flex bank statement program. And so I'm going to actually defer you to call your account executive, because they're going to get you through all of those details and be able to tell you specifics on that. And again, our goal of this webinar was not to get into the details of the actual loan program. You can call your Finance of America account executive. If you don't know who that is, then you can shoot me an email and I can help you get pointed in the right direction. But we have some awesome marketing campaigns that are available on the FAMU Resource Center. And so, some of the things you can look at, there's self-employed borrower flyers up there, so you can grab those. Refinance, there's investment property flyers, all of those things. And so those are the resources that we have available for you. If you do have questions, if you're not a member of FAMU, which is the Finance of America University, we have training available on there. Every single webinar we do, we put up there, so you can go and watch anything from the past. Contact your Finance of America account executive to get set up with your account. And if you're not doing business with Finance of America, start doing business with Finance of America. But most importantly, become an edu-marketer. Share your knowledge. You guys know a lot of information, and so you just need to start taking that and writing it down. So for those of you who have stayed on to the end, I have a little treat for you. I just have released my book, The Edumarketer. It's on Amazon, which is the copy of the book, and then it's going to be on Kindle Publisher at the end of the month. But for those of you who are on this call, this webinar right now, I have a PDF, so you can get a download of my book, which is called The Edumarketer. And so what I've talked about is just a tiny little bit of what's in the book. And the book is really a how-to guide. That's me. I'm not about telling you what you need to do. I'm going to tell you how to do it. And so if you would like a copy of that book, then all you need to do is to grab out your phone and to text the word book to 89800. So grab out your phone and type in the number 89800. And then in your message, type the word book. Simple to put in there, 89800. Type in the word book, and you will get a copy of my book. If you do want a hard copy, you can hop over to Amazon and order a hard copy there. And then for those of you who are in California, next week is the California Association of Mortgage Professionals annual conference. It is summer camp, and it is in San Jose, and I am going to be there. We've got a session that's going on. Teresa Ballard's going to be doing a session on becoming a mortgage broker. And then I will be there with a couple of my books. So if you are there, by all means, let me know. And I'd love to be able to see you there. And always remember to pass on what you have learned. It's something that I think is so important, and it's something that Finance of America does so well, is to be able to provide education to you and to bring a variety of resources, including the information that we shared today, to be able to help you be better at your business and what you do. So if there's anything that we can do for you, by all means, let us know. You can reach me at ginger@edumarketing.com. You can go to our website. I'm going to be launching our community on the website for Edumarketing and going into a lot of these things. We're going to be showing how to do video. Troy McLean, who is our technology partner at Edumarketing, actually was on the very first Apprentice and used to be a mortgage broker. He and I are going to be doing a podcast together. So my goal is to be able to help you create content using great programs like what Finance of America offers to you with the 2FlexX. So shoot me an email of the things that you're doing. If you're shooting a video, send it over to me. Tag me on Facebook. Tag me on LinkedIn. Get interactive, because that's absolutely the most important thing you can do. So I'm not seeing any questions related to the content, which is great. I'm seeing some questions relating to the program. Contact your Finance of America wholesale account executive, and they can answer the questions. And I look forward to seeing you on the webinar next week. You can register at www.famuevents.com, or you can find all events at The Mortgage List, which is www.themortgagelist.com. Thanks, guys, for attending, and have an awesome day.